let's talk about your accolades. Come on. So you've been in Vogue, you've been in Elle, you've been on Got Magazine, you've also had a collaboration with Nike. Like not just
Okay, when
a
you say
little
it that
little,
way.
like a proper collaboration with Nike. I just honestly, your humility is admirable.
Pivoted so many times, it's unbelievable. But no one sees that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. People, like we were saying before this, you think I'm quite like established, but obviously I'm me, so I know like all the trials and tribulations I have to go through, and all like the things behind the scenes that no one sees.
Tega Akinola, Nigerian. And then when I read your interview and it was like, oh, you grew up in a creative house, I thought that's quite refreshing actually to hear as a Nigerian.
Yeah.
Because there's that whole stigma of like, oh, doctor, lawyer, this, that, and the other. But to be honest, that wasn't even my experience because I'm also Nigerian. But I feel like it's quite interesting to hear a different take where your Nigerian parents actually nurtured that creative side of you. What advice would you give to somebody who's kind of like just starting out their own fashion brand?
When like things get hard, you're gonna need a foundation to hold you up and keep you going through the tough times. So having a really strong why and purpose to what you're doing.
Like, you're actually that girl. Welcome. This is the Paula Oyinko Show, where our mission is to inspire women like you to be the best version of yourselves at every stage of life. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by Tega Akinola, who is a designer doing big things in the industry. She literally turned a COVID lockdown project into a fully fledged business, and I'm really excited to get into her journey. But first, we're going to pick a card. So, pick a card, Taker.
Let's go with this one.
Oh, what did it say?
This is so relevant. It says, have you ever faced imposter syndrome? How did you handle it?
Oh, that's a really good one, actually.
Yeah, it is. So I've said this before like many times, but I didn't go to fashion school. So getting into the industry, I always felt like I didn't have like, obviously I didn't have the formal qualifications, but I just felt like I didn't have the informal one or the sort of confidence to back my skills basically. So I have faced imposter syndrome in my industry, and I think it's just like an everyday sort of journey. Take it day by day, build your confidence, listen to people's feedback and take it on board. And well, that's what I do to sort of combat that.
I think that's really good. And I actually can kind of relate to that because I did slash do have a footwear brand, but I paused it.
Yeah.
And I studied law at uni, so completely unrelated to fashion. And I definitely had moments where I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Do I even know how to draw? Like, I don't know. But I do think it's quite easy for it to happen, especially when you don't have that background. But you say you don't have that background, but you did also grow up in quite a creative home, didn't you? So
Yeah,
what was
that's
that like?
true. So my mum is a seamstress,
Oh,
and my dad studied graphic design at university, even though he does something different now. But like my mum jokes that she bred us, like the kids. She was looking for a husband that was creative, to
yeah.
have like kids who are into the arts and in the creative sort of section. So yeah, I've always been encouraged to do art, to draw, to sew, help my mum sew when I was growing up. And yeah, that kind of environment fostered basically everything that I do today. So even though I didn't have the formal qualifications, I had the nurturing
Yeah.
to go into this industry.
I feel like you had like the physical, practical experience because you saw your mum doing what she did as well, right?
Yeah. But like when I was young, I didn't really want to do that.
Okay.
Because you know when you're forced, not forced, but
Yeah.
like you just want to rebel when you're younger. So I didn't want to help her with her stuff. Obviously, I would still be forced to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, like, that discipline was there because I learned quite a lot growing up.
I think it's so interesting as well because I was like, okay, Tega Akinola, Nigerian. And then when I read your interview and it was like, oh, you grew up in a creative house, I thought that's quite refreshing actually to hear as a Nigerian
Yeah.
because there's that whole stigma of like, oh, doctor, lawyer, this, that, and the other. But to be honest, that wasn't even my experience because I'm also Nigerian. But I feel like it's quite interesting to hear a different take where your Nigerian parents actually nurtured that creative side of you.
Mhm.
That was really, and are your siblings creative too?
Yeah, like, but they're better like artists than I am. They also create my brother's into photography
Oh,
and like
nice.
fashion, my sister, arts and like interior design. So
Mhm,
we are really quite creative. But
mhm.
like growing up, actually, one of the things I wanted to be was a doctor.
Oh,
So,
okay,
but
yeah.
it wasn't forced. I
Mhm.
just thought it would be cool, I guess. But
Yeah.
knowing like 7 years medical
Yeah.
semester, but no, I didn't have that pressure to go down like a super like academic route. So
Mm,
it was nice to come into my own basically and
mhm,
realize my own interests.
mm. At what point did you realize, like, you kinda wanted to go into a more creative space? Because even what you studied, it wasn't really creative, it was like sports
No,
psychology,
it
right?
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't creative at all.
Mhm,
Actually, it was very science based. So
mhm,
yeah, I studied sport and exercise psychology. But before I went to university, the summer before I went to uni, I started posting outfit pictures on
mm,
Instagram, and that grew a following, and I just continued during university, and then slowly started posting my creative projects, like the stuff I would make. So when I graduated, I had this like side thing going on that I thought, okay, I could invest some time and effort into this and
mhm,
make it I wasn't even thinking about making it my main thing. I just knew I didn't want to go down the sports psychology pathway. Not because I didn't enjoy it, but it was just wasn't the journey for me.
mhm,
So that was the point, like I realized, okay, I can do this,
mm.
and that I really enjoy.
And then it comes to like lockdown,
Hmm.
kind of. And because I don't know if this is what like triggered everything in terms of like the actual designing and having your own brand. But obviously, you had like the cable shoes and stuff like that. How did that explain the cable shoes to us? And how did it come about? And what was the result of it?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Lockdown was the trigger for like pretty much why I'm even sitting here today. So the cable shoes, I was on placement at the time, so it was like a year in industry in between my second and third year of university. But then because of obviously COVID and like the economic effects of that, I had to get let go from my placement from the company. So I came back home, wasn't really doing much, had so much free time, and like I was cleaning my room one day and like I found a bag of 40 cables or cables that my family had like collected and put in a bag and put in my room. I don't know why. But I found that bag and I was gonna throw it out, but I thought, I could do something like interesting with this. So
Mhm.
I bought a shoe and then just started experimenting basically. That is the story. I don't think it's that exciting. Like I didn't really have like some sort of
Yeah.
I didn't see it in a dream or anything. Like it
Mhm.
was just I found something, physically and just wanted to start
Mm.
experimenting.
So then you started experimenting and then you started posting like creating stuff on TikTok or what was it on?
It was Instagram actually.
Okay, yeah.
So like TikTok, I've only been there for like a year.
Mhm.
But Instagram was where I started posting the creative stuff more so than my
Mm.
outfit pictures. And I slowly transitioned into just all the creative, basically everything creative stuff and creative projects basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it
Mhm.
started.
But what came from that? Because did you already have your own brand before doing the shoes or did that trigger your brand?
No, I didn't really have a brand. I had just maybe like I guess a personal brand in a way. There were a few other like creative projects I'd posted, but leading up to like the cable shoes, there weren't as many. So it was
Mm.
the cable shoes that really like started this sort of thing about Tega Akinola is doing
Mm.
things with cables
Yeah.
and I don't know stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't have my own brand. I wasn't really thinking about having my own brand. I just wanted to make and create and
Mhm.
publish that and well, yeah, see where it went.
And this is where it led
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
But what's the journey been? Like, how did it then turn into a brand? Like,
I
what was
mean,
the process?
it is still like I feel like it's still early days for my brand
Mhm.
personally because I'm still learning more about business and really taking that seriously. Because before it was
Mhm.
just like a way to get by and make some money. It wasn't like okay, this is like my baby.
Mm.
So um, the process has been really like up and down. There's been a lot of learning curves, a lot of lessons, and I feel like that's just like natural. It's something that you start and you don't really know too much about. So I've learned a lot. I've pivoted so many times, it's unbelievable. But no one sees that stuff. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. People like we were saying before this, you think I'm quite like established, but
Mm.
obviously I'm me, so I know like all
Mhm.
the trials and tribulations I have to go through and all like the things behind the scenes that no one
Mhm.
sees. Um, but yeah, I think, it's just doing the best I can and putting the best I can, out there and continually improving.
I feel like you're so humble, honestly.
Thank
I
you.
really, because no, let's talk about your accolades. Come on. So you've been in Vogue, you've been in Elle, you've been on Got Magazine, you've also had a collaboration with Nike. Like, not just,
Okay, when
oh,
you
a
say
little,
it that way.
little, like a proper collaboration with Nike. I just honestly, your humility is admirable because I'll be like,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I've been on Nike, I've been on Vogue, like all of this. But honestly, I feel like you're actually doing a lot of great things that's inspiring a lot of up and coming designers as well to see that actually you can get creative in this space and do all of this and it could lead to this. I think it's amazing. And with your Nike collaboration, how did that come about? Because you were doing some bits with Nike,
Mhm.
like in terms of upcycling, weren't you?
Yeah, correct. So I was doing like using their materials and creating new stuff from it and posting that on Instagram. And then like one random day, I when you have like a flashbulb memory of exactly where you were, what you were doing when something happened. I have that memory of like when the email came through.
Mhm.
So I was doing a project, and just got a random email from a woman named Christine. She said she works at Nike, she loves my stuff and would like to talk about London projects. That's how she
Mm.
sort of titled it. So I was like, this is I was a bit skeptical. So I went on LinkedIn and made sure she was real.
Yeah.
And then I obviously replied, and she really downplayed it because she just said, "Oh, it's about London projects." I thought it'd be like a one-off, like really small thing.
Hmm.
And then we started a conversation, but then I didn't hear back from her for like a couple months. And then in summer of 2022 was when we really picked up the conversation about, what the project was, the recreation program. So that's when I started to realize, okay, this is kind of like major. Like this is like my dream collaboration partner.
Mm.
This is a really cool like design project I've always wanted to do. So yeah, it slowly became as more things got revealed, it became more like daunting, and like a lot of work was put into it.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, so were you like more excited or were you more overwhelmed? Like, what was the feelings when you realized that actually this is a big thing?
I feel like I was more excited because I didn't know how like big in terms of the work or
Mhm.
um just in general how big it would be. So I was more excited to see like what we could do and what we could
Mm.
explore. But then as like we got into the meat of the project and I was doing like tech packs and tech drawings and
Mm.
stuff, I was like, okay, it got a bit overwhelming, but I felt like I had to go through that. It was
Mhm.
like the collaboration came at a point in like my career where it's like I needed to learn a lot of those stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like a good sort of overwhelming in a way.
I love that. And with like doing the tech packs and stuff, had you really done stuff like that before?
No, I'm telling you, that was my
Okay.
first time
Oh,
like doing tech
wow.
packs, doing tech drawings. Like
Mhm.
watched so many YouTube tutorials
Yeah.
and researched a lot of things and just tried my best. And thankfully they came out well. The factory partner said like those are some of the best
Oh,
tech packs she did. So I'm like,
really?
yes,
Oh,
all the hard work
nice.
paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who like what other brands would you love to collaborate with?
Um, so many. I love like sportswear brands like New
Mhm.
Balance. Um, I was I was gonna say like Puma and Adidas. I mean, I do love like their brands
Mhm.
too. Obviously, like I've done stuff with Nike before,
Yeah.
but who knows? Um, and also like luxury brands like Prada, Miu Miu,
Mm.
like Arme Liondo. That's how I
Mhm.
say it. They're like a mix between sportswear and like luxury, and they have a really cool sort of vibe going on. So there's a lot of brands out there doing cool things that I would love to work with in some sort of capacity.
And you're doing this full time now, right?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah. You enjoyed it? Because the way you said this is full time, I was like,
Oh,
yeah.
you know what? Someone asked me, like, do you ever get bored? And I
Mm.
thought to myself, no, I don't get bored. yeah, I might get overwhelmed or like tired, but I'm never bored. I'm never like stagnant. There's always something to
Mm.
be doing. So there are like tough times where, there's a lot to have on your plate as like a one
Mhm.
woman band, but I'm never bored. I'm never like, I hate my job. Thankfully, like
Mhm.
it is something I do really enjoy. Like, when the good things like really, if the good things happen, it's like, wow, I'm so blessed to be doing this full time.
Mhm.
Even though like it is still a struggle, starting a brand basically. It's yeah, um, I'm so glad to be doing it.
Yeah, because I also read in your Grok interview that you enjoyed it more when it was a side hustle.
Mhm.
So do you still feel that way now? And if you do, how does the two differ?
I think it's a different sort of enjoyment when it's like not your business. You can have a lot of liberty with things, but when it is your business, you have to obviously consider making a business, like, and
Mm.
and keeping it afloat. So the enjoyment I have now is in getting better in business, because I've been learning a lot, and um just taking things on board, improving, you know, like when things happen, then you need to adapt to that and pivot and
Mhm.
things like that. So my enjoyment comes from learning and growing as a businesswoman who has this fashion brand, whereas before it was just like, oh yeah, I can create whatever and put it out. So
Mm.
it's a different sort of enjoyment. It's never the opposite of that. It's never like
Mm.
a hate.
What advice would you give to somebody who's kind of like just starting out their own fashion brand? Maybe it's just a side hustle at this
Mm.
stage.
I'd say like you need to know like why you're doing it. You need to like have basically an explanation that encapsulates why you're doing your brand and what it stands
Mhm.
for. Because like I've said it before, when like things get hard, you're gonna need a foundation to hold
Mhm.
you up and keep you going through the tough
Mm.
times. So having a really strong why and purpose to what you're doing would be my probably, yeah, that would be the advice I would give.
And I again agree with that. I keep saying like with everyone, oh, I agree with that. Oh, my experience, because I always like to tie in my own personal experience with the things that are being said,
Yeah.
because I do like I see it and it makes sense to me like why you've said that. Because when I first started the footwear brand that I started, it is for ladies with larger feet because I wear a size 9.
Hmm.
So I started the footwear brand and literally the only reason I started it was because I wanted nice shoes that fit me. And then eventually I started like losing hope in it because it wasn't really generating sales in the way that I wanted it to. And then when I had a chat with like a friend who was in that kind of space, she was like, you need to go back to like your why, what is the purpose of the brand,
Hmm.
all of this. And when I actually created a purpose around the brand, that actually really was the fire for me to carry on, even like when things were dipping. Because eventually I came to realize actually what I'm trying to do with this footwear brand is to provide women with the styles they deserve in the sizes they need
Hmm.
and help them be confident in their own skin.
Yeah.
And that was a motivator for me because it felt like actually no, women do deserve shoes in their size that are not like orthopedic shoes
Mm.
or just ugly shoes.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like such a minor thing, yeah, but that was a frustration of mine personally, and even speaking with other women who had larger feet, it was a very relatable
Yeah.
experience. So I completely agree that there needs to be a why. And I think even in any business, not just like fashion specifically, I do feel like it's important to have a why with the business that you create. But I don't know if people always realize that. And especially if the why is like, oh, I just want to make money.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that could be the
No, I don't
motivation
think I don't think that should be the
ever.
motivation, but I get what you mean about like money being like a motivator. I don't think that should be the way. I really like what you said about how you started your footwear brand and how it was coming from like a personal place to you. I feel like that's really strong because it's not just about making money. It's something that affects you as well. So there's an even sort of bigger investment or like impetus to do that thing. Literally like the other day I met someone who started a brand for women with bigger busts, because she's a woman with a bigger bust, and she didn't see like the stylish clothes and outfits that women with smaller busts were wearing. So she created that thing because she wanted to see it for herself and other people who had that sort of not issue, but like that thing to deal with when it comes to
Yeah.
clothing, basically. So I personally really admire when people have that a strong conviction to do something that affects them and, make good out of it.
What brand was that? Because I know a girl that does that.
Oh, it's a Taido.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say, why am I not saying the brand? Yeah, and
yeah.
she's Nigerian as well, so I thought that was so cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love her story.
Yeah, no, I really do. And what she's doing is so good as well. And honestly, I do think there needs to be more of these kind of things that cater to those groups that like mainstream fashion brands don't, because
Hmm.
there is a really big gap for it. So yeah, no, that was actually a really good brand.
Yeah.
So with your Nike collaboration, if I was like a fashion owner looking in, like, "Oh, I wonder how she got that." I know you mentioned you just kind of posted on social media, but if there's, a fashion designer who's like, "I would love to collaborate with big brands too," what kind of things do you think that they could do to prepare themselves for those types of collaborations?
Yeah, I think putting your work out there is really like one of the most important things because I
Mhm.
literally got that project because I put my work out there, even though I may have thought, okay, this doesn't look that good to me. It could look good to someone else. I think it's really important to just to publish your work. And you have that history of like what I did at this time, and then when you look back
Mhm.
on it, you see how much you've improved. But showing to like brands or people who work in these brands that this is your identity in your work and this is like your proof of concept that is your work allows them to buy into the idea that, oh, I could see like the brand I work for, I could see how they could collaborate with this new brand. So that would be like another major piece of advice, like literally putting your work out there because you never know
Mhm.
who's looking. Because the person who Christine who contacted me, she didn't see my brand on Instagram. It was her colleague who saw my work
Okay.
and recommended me to her for the program. So literally, you never know who's looking,
Yeah.
who has connections to so and so.
No, it's true. Your network is your net worth. I say it,
And
even
yeah,
though
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
I love that
person
too.
that saw it, were they somebody that you knew personally?
No, I still don't even know who the
Oh,
person is. That
okay.
so mystery colleague that
Yeah.
worked at Nike. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I kind of like it that way. It's
Mhm.
like the whole world is connected by social media and it's
Yeah.
brought much closer by
Yeah.
digital social media. So I might as well take advantage of that. Put your work
Yeah.
out there.
100%. So how did you know it was the right time to go full time into what you were doing?
I didn't know.
Okay.
That sounds.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was
Mm.
really like a leap of faith
Mhm.
because I was finishing uni, graduating, and I was like, I don't want to go down this pathway, so I'm just gonna try this. That
Mm.
was like my like rationale. I'm gonna try it and see how it goes. So I didn't know it was the right time, unfortunately. Like sometimes I think what would have happened if I went and got I guess regular job for lack of a better word. Maybe I wouldn't be doing this, or so and so.
Mm.
But I can't really put myself in the position of someone who is in a full-time position and wants to like
Mm.
um segue to like making their side hustle like their job.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can't really comment to that, but I feel like when y- when there's like a drive to do something and there's there's things that you have to, let's say there's expenses or there's things you have to take care of, rent and stuff like that, it can drive you even further to taking that leap of faith because you do only have like one life and you have to do like, well, as much as you can and what's afforded to you, like make the best of it and do what you love.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And I feel like I don't even know if I'm in a position to give advice because honestly, I'm really at the start of making my side hustle, my main hustle,
Yeah.
whatever. To be honest, it wasn't even my side hustle. I just jumped straight into doing this as a main hustle. Um, but I do feel like sometimes you do just kind of need to take that leap because you can stay in a job forever. It's very comfortable being there, getting a regular paycheck. But one thing I personally realized was that actually 9 to 5, I think it's a false sense of security. And I say that as somebody who's been made redundant, which is why I mentioned that. Because although like yeah, you do get your monthly paycheck, you can literally be fired at any moment. And I'm not saying that to be all doom and gloom. I'm just saying it to be fact.
No, it's true.
So yeah, I think sometimes you kind of need to like place a bet on yourself. And I know people may advise differently. And honestly, like I said, I don't even think I'm in a position to advise. So don't listen to my advice. I'm just saying my opinion. Um, but Yeah, so I do think sometimes you have to place a bet on yourself.
Mhm.
And one thing I sometimes ask people is like, what does your ideal life look like? Because I think we all have a picture of what our ideal life looks like. And then I say, well, what's one step you can take to get to that point? And then you realize actually it's not that much
Mm.
required to get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I understand.
So, but if you could go back to just before you were about to take this step, what would you do differently if at all you would do anything differently?
When people, like, ask me this sort of question, I have to say, like, I don't really have regrets. I don't try to have
Mm,
regrets either. When I
mhm,
try to regret anything because you can't. But, like, in hindsight, I mean, everything I did, I feel like led me to this point as to where I'm supposed to be. But maybe I would learn a bit more about business so that in the early stages, I would know, like, I guess, the right steps or the best practice
mm,
to do. But even then, I feel like my naivety might have helped me even to this day. Like, I may not have put said project out there because I was, learning about business and so on and so forth. But in general anyway, like learning about like fashion business is like a major thing I think for young designers.
mhm,
And it is really important because you're not just like, it's not just about creativity and having like a really cool brand. It's also about like making it a business that,
mm.
stays up.
Yeah, so despite everything you've achieved, like I said, you're very humble. And to be honest, I feel like that humility comes across online as well.
Really?
It does, yeah. And I was gonna say, like, what kind of things keep you grounded?
The fact that I'm not in like a what, 6-bedroom house then. I mean, life keeps me grounded because I
Mhm,
know where like I want to end up and I know the stuff I want to achieve. And because I'm not there yet, I'm like, oh, you can't get too big for your boots.
mhm,
Your head can't blow up too big because then you become comfortable. You kind of become like complacent in a way.
mm,
This is such like a random analogy to use, but like when football teams like go 1-0 up, they think, oh yeah, like we're in front, and then they start
mm.
to sit back and then they let the other team
Yeah,
go and
it's
score.
true.
You literally cannot get
Mhm,
complacent because until the finish line, until that whistle's blown,
mhm,
until or if you win the league, whatever, what goals you want to achieve, you need to keep grinding. So what keeps me grounded is the situation I'm at like right now. So while I try to like celebrate the stuff I've done already, I've achieved already, and I'm really grateful for, I still know like where I want to be. Like life is a constant, cycle of improvement to me. So
mhm.
that definitely keeps me grounded. Like waking up in the morning thinking, I wish I was that, spa right now. So no, not really, but yeah, just life in general keeps me grounded.
Mhm. I love that because I mean, some people they're not even anywhere, but that doesn't stop them from,
If that works for them,
mm,
what is that? Fake it till you make it. If that
yeah,
works for
that's true.
them,
Actually, that is
then
true.
yeah, it works for me in some situations, not all the
Mhm.
time though. But it's I guess it goes by the individual. But if that works for
Mm.
them, then yeah, great.
So be it.
Yeah,
It's true. What kind of, how much do you feel like your family has contributed to your success?
a lot because if my mom was a seamstress, then I wouldn't have gotten like a lot of help with my work in like the initial stages. When I would need to like sew clothes and things like that. And also like I get their like opinions for a lot of things. So I'll
Mhm.
obviously when I'll be making something at home and I'll show them, even if like it's funny when I make like the out there stuff or the more avant-garde stuff and I get my parents' opinion, when I know that they're confused is when I know like, okay, yeah, I'm on the money because they're not meant to get it in that way
Mhm.
because it's not for them. But in general, if something's like for everyone and they all think like it's really cool, then yeah, I take that feedback on board.
Mhm.
And also like I said, my brother does photography on the side. He's helped me with, some campaign photo shoots and my sister's like my biggest promoter. She's always bragging about me. She's cute. Um, but yeah, like my family's contributed a lot to my work and just like where I am today. So yeah, a lot.
I love that because I feel like I've got quite a supportive family as
Mhm.
well.
That's your sister.
Yeah, that's my
Hey, Mutar.
sister.
We should keep that in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but my whole family is actually really supportive. I feel like we're all quite entrepreneurial as
Mhm.
well as a family. So that helps in terms of the supportiveness. But I was gonna ask you, like, what would your advice be to somebody who doesn't necessarily have a supportive family,
Mhm.
but they're still trying to achieve something? And maybe even their family is like resistant to them
Mm.
achieving that thing or
Yeah, that's such a good question because it's like it is tough um when I guess the people supposed to be closest to you are like not supportive of your work, or you don't have that support system in place in the first place. I would say like you can always find, like, I have a creative family as well that's outside of my home. So like friends, or yeah, friends that are in creative industry, and I can get their opinions and stuff.
Mm,
So when you're in that position, I think you can find a creative family outside of your, your blood family, and also you just have to believe in yourself, I guess, in the first place. Because when people are like telling, or they're telling you this, if your like conviction in yourself is strong enough, then I feel like it could be enough to sort of balance out the negativity, I guess. But like I've not been in that position. I feel like I'm quite privileged to be in the position where your
mm,
family supports you, and especially coming from like a Nigerian, African household. So um I can only give like the advice of like really believing in yourself and finding a creative family that does support you.
no, I totally agree because I think family is not always blood, to be
Mm,
honest with you. They say you can't choose your family, and I guess you can't choose your biological family, but you can in some ways choose who you want around you.
yeah.
And I think that is the key really. Um, so what's next for you? 5 to 10 years, where do you see yourself?
Wow. Well, 5 years I'll be 30, 10 years I'll be 35. That's crazy to think about. Where do I see myself? Well, I just really want like this brand or this, business thing I have to really grow. I want to, there's awards and stuff, and there's like achievements I want to, achieve. So I know what they are in my head actually. I'm being like so vague about it, but I feel like I like to make things happen rather than,
Mhm.
say it so early and then people ask like, what was that thing you were talking about? But yeah, no, I have a lot of things I would like to achieve, and where I want this business to go. But also I'm just taking it stage by stage and enjoying the process, or trying to enjoy the process while I'm at it. But hopefully in 5 years, 10 years, like Tega Akinola would be, I don't know what to say. And I want it to be, yeah, a successful brand. And obviously, success is defined in subjective ways, but a successful brand to my standards, I would
Mhm.
say.
I love that, and I love that it's to your standards as well, not to what society says or what this person says or
Mm,
whatever. Because I mean, to my standards, it's already pretty successful,
thank
but
you.
I know it's different. You like, when you've got your own goals and
Yeah,
there are your own things that you want to achieve along the way. So yeah, but honestly, it's been a pleasure
it's
having
great to
you.
speak to
It
you.
really has been. I've loved every minute of it. And what are you working on at the moment that you want people to know about?
So I'm working on some like capsule drops, so like mini drops, mini collections. Hopefully coming out early next year, and some exciting collaborations, accessories and stuff
Mhm.
also next year. So people should keep watch.
So, Tega, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you?
Um, oh, Michelle, okay. So you can find me on Instagram at Tega Akinola, and also TikTok at Tega Akinola. And if you see me in person, like say hi, like I'm quite like, I'll talk to you. I think I'm quite friendly. So yeah,
Love it. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this week's episode of the Paula Oyinko Show. This has been a work in progress since July, guys. I was made redundant and I decided to take a leap of faith, bet on myself, and just help women become the best versions of themselves. That's why I started the Paula Oyinko Show. And if you're truly on a journey wanting to be the best version of yourself, then make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow me on all major streaming platforms. It means way more than you can ever imagine. I'll literally be jumping for joy at each notification. Thank you so much, guys.